Sure.
We'll have to go back and look.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So I think we both were thinking the Saints will be pretty good this year.
Yes.
But now what a lot of people are saying only 2 games in, and this is premature, but some people now are wondering, hey, yeah, they could win the division, but could the Saints be an actual contender to win the NFC? Do we have to consider them up there with the Lions and the Eagles and the 49ers and the Saints?
2 games, man. 2 games.
Yeah, they've dominated.
2 games, White.
Dominated.
2 games.
Cowboys and, Carolina.
1-2.
Dominated.
1-2.
There's only 15 games left.
2 games, man. I don't overreact to 2 games in anything.
Oh, so you're fine with the 49ers yesterday?
Of course. They lost.
23-17. Now they go to Minnesota. They never win in Minnesota.
They lose, man. I'm even keeled.
That's smart.
I'm not the person that's gonna I didn't overreact last week when they jumped on the Jets, which I thought they would.
That's smart, but it's wrong in this case.
No problem. No problem. And that, as I said, I'll never tell a person how to fan. I'll never question your fandom. If you want to overreact, if you want to live, die, sweat, I've done it. I've been there. I see it. This rendition of the 49ers has shown me and proven to me they will have some weeks where you're going to be like, what in the hell is going on? I can't figure it out. And then they're going to go to Detroit, and I just use Detroit as an example. Somebody that's the top team, and they're going to blow their doors off. And everybody's going to react, oh, they're going to win a Super Bowl. Guess what? They haven't. So I'm not going to sit up here and cry about them losing to the Vikings. I'm not going to do it.
2 or 3 years ago, when at one point I think they were 4-5.
Yep.
And then they
rattled off crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost 3 games in a row last week. People were panicking.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my God, Jake Moody, Jake Moody's turned out to be pretty solid, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Make Moody. Hey,
come on now. Put some respect on his name.
Yesterday, the 49ers, not only did they lose, but they looked a little bewildered, befuddled. That's even what the Minneapolis Star-Tribune said they were bamboozled. Why were they bamboozled yesterday? Well, we know that Brock Purdy, after he congratulated Sam Darnold, he said to Brian Flores, he said his scheme is crazy, he said. Brock Purdy, to their defensive coordinator. Scheme is crazy. So Brock, who is one of the best in the NFL, no matter what you think of Brock Purdy, he's one of the best in the NFL at making reads quickly, at ascertaining what it is the defense wants him to do and what he needs to do to avoid that. And yesterday he struggled with that.
Yeah.
That combined with a pass rush that had the offensive line flustered, trying to figure out who's blitzing. Well, I thought he was coming. You got him. And so it added up to a frustrating loss for the Niners. Yeah, a game that they still could have won, but Brian Flores out-coached Kyle Shanahan yesterday. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to happen, Jay.
Again, I'll never tell Whitey Gleason how to fan.
Well, tell me why I'm wrong.
Because it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. Kyle Shanahan gets out
Absolutely.
all the time.
Absolutely. You just talked about Spagnuolo. Mm-hmm. Campbell had his pretty much Dan Campbell and company had his number. It happens all the time, man.
Dan Campbell.
Cleveland was absolutely himself. Yeah. Well, he might be too smart for his own good too. Cleveland was running ruckshot around the 49ers last year. And I'm not talking about, I was the person that just said on this show, we're not talking about last year, but we only have a 2-game sample. Mm-hmm. I'm just going back in the past and history. He outcoached himself in the Super Bowl, meaning Kyle Shanahan when he was with the Falcons. It happens. However you want to see it with Kyle Shanahan, and I know it's 3:00, so I'll go ahead and repeat myself because it's not 2:00, and my boss tells us to say this. It's a new time. He can be too smart for his own good sometime. Sometime, for whatever reason, you call it stubbornness, and I think that's a great word. He doesn't like to make adjustments. He plays his game, meaning Kyle Shanahan is still going to call his game, even if the game dictates that you need to get it to hurry up offense.
I think at times Kyle Shanahan is guilty of what I call scheme arrogance.
Yes.
It's like, my scheme is going to – it's fine. The scheme's going to carry the day. Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe he's not that good, but that's all right. Running my scheme. We'll be all right. Yesterday, I think maybe he was starting to question that a little bit. Maybe he's a little gun shy. Kyle Shanahan, because he was changing up. Throwing the ball 7 times on the first 8 plays. That's not 49er football.
But he's done it, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, 49er fans are calling out stuff that has happened. Mm-hmm. How many times did we say last year, man, stop throwing the ball and hand the ball off? And then vice versa. How many times do we need to stop handing the ball off and throw one time? Like, it happens. This is what Kyle Shanahan does. That's why you have his detractors, and I always bring up TC. I don't know what it is with Shanahan.
Do you think it's a problem that has hampered them from getting a Super Bowl win? And if that's true, do you think it's something that could keep them from ever winning one?
Maybe. As Drake's always like to say,
I want to believe
you're
that.
not a winner till you win one. I'm not sure. I would say it hasn't been all Shanahan in Super Bowl situations when they've had opportunity. It wasn't Shanahan who dropped the ball, Jaquaski Tart. That wasn't a Kyle Shanahan thing.
Nope.
Richard Sherman giving up the draws. That wasn't Kyle Shanahan's situation. He called up, and it wasn't his call, but that was a great call. They even had overtop safety help. He got beat. He beat Jimmy Ward and company. That's not a Shanahan thing. I'm just saying Kyle has some lapses in his game that has happened year after year. I don't understand why this is surprising 49er fans. You guys must not be watching a game then.
It's he's smart. We know that. I think even his detractors would admit he's smart. When you're smart, typically you learn from your mistakes. But there's times when it seems like he's not interested in learning from his mistakes.
Yeah, which is hence why I said I think you're spot on. White, I really think you are. I don't know what to call it. That's why we try to throw 2-3 things at the board. But I think if we just want to label something, it's stubbornness.
But I do think they missed Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, absolutely.
Just look at yesterday.
Absolutely.
Minnesota, how much simpler. And yeah, they have crazy schemes. Brian Flores does. And they're really good at, it's funny. It's a basic thing. What's a good skill for defenders to have? It's useful to be good tacklers.
Yeah.
We kind of take that for granted.
Yeah.
And there aren't as many good tacklers as you'd think, but the Vikings have a lot of really good tacklers.
Yeah, they do. And it brings the forefront for me. I think as much as CMC is the person that's being missed, I think Talanoa Hufanga is a huge guy for the 49ers, and you can see some of the weakness. And, you saw it on this past weekend. The Vikings attacked that right side, which is where Huff would be. You would put the strong safety. You'd push Jair Brown probably over, which is interesting to me. Because when you really look at the 49ers, Whitey, like who's the strong and who's the free safety right now? Mm-hmm. Can you decipher who that person is for me? Because I don't know.
I don't think Odom's a strong safety.
No.
Yeah. So.
But they tend to use him as a strong safety. He's the person who's coming up and covering people. Like, why is he covering? Why is your strong safety covering Justin Jefferson? Mm-hmm. Because Huff wouldn't be covering him.
Then you get back to Nick Sorensen again. I think maybe we were, when I say we, I mean 49er fans. After a while, you take it for granted that the defense is going to be that good. It's like, well, Robert Saleh is really good, and then D'Amico, and they're great too. Maybe it's not the coordinator so much. And then after those guys are gone, and you realize, I think some of it was the coordinators.
Yeah,
Steve Wilkes struggled, but it wasn't all we saw yesterday. That wasn't Steve Wilkes' fault yesterday.
No, absolutely. That was some other different calls because Steve Wilkes is not even in the 49er uniform. I truly think D'Amico was the creme de la creme, and he's showing it over the Texans. One thing about D'Amico that a lot of people, for whatever reason, let slip under the rug, he made adjustments. He came out with his game plan first half, but as the game went on and different situations arose and things needed to be dictated, he kind of maneuvered. He maneuvered his game plan around that, and I think that's something Shanahan detractors continue to ask for. And you look up on the text line, Kyle Shanahan should go coach the Cowboys. Well, I don't know about all that. They're perfect for each other. A couple of regular season darlings and big game chokers. Ooh. How many more playoff games does Kyle have to lose before fans get it? I guess a couple of more. Oh, well, that's a 49er fan. And let me give that hopefully that's a 49er fan that from the 916. Let me give them credit because I think that's a true and honest 49er fan, which is where I try to be, which is what I'm saying is I'm not going to wear the rose-colored glasses and not be honest. Shanahan chokes a lot, if that's what you want to call it. Now, I'm using that 916, the texter's word. I just think he's stubborn, and I think that's where you're spot on. He has some things, Whitey, that for whatever reason, he's not going to change, or I want to say never because you can, but he seems to not want to change during games.
Real quick here, we'll get back to football in a moment. You mentioned choking. Dr. Strong on Twitter sent me this. Sent it to Kyle, sent it to Dave. This is a tweet from Scientific American, and they're talking about some study they did, Jay. Bear with me here. It says Scientific American. Study links choking under pressure to the brain region that controls movement. Okay. Then there's a picture that accompanies that. and it's a picture of the Sacramento Kings.
Are you serious?
Yes. What is that?
Man, is there a name on that article?
We'll get you more details, and we'll come back with an answer to this question or this view from Jay Woods. I just feel like it was the players more than the coaches yesterday. Is that true? Next,
Ooh.
Sactown Sports.